thank you so much for taking the time to join me here. I have the privilege of leading the calling and devices team within the Microsoft Teams organization. And today I want to talk a little bit about the trends we are seeing in the industry and how we are trying to help you as both users and AV and IT professionals to meet these trends. Now, one of the most amazing things, if you've ever had an opportunity to see in nature, is when two storm fronts come together. And that is, in many ways, where I think we are today in technology. We are still working through what it means to work in a completely different environment. Whether you call it hybrid work, flexible work, new world of work, I think we can all agree that it is fundamentally different from what we experienced before the pandemic. All of the companies that we work in are trying to find their way, whether it's however many days a week that people come in, whether it's norms for how we deal with every meeting now having remote participants. We're all trying to figure it out together. And as we do that, we are also experiencing the most rapid and impactful change in technology that I at least have experienced in my 30 years at Microsoft. And of course, no surprise, I'm talking about the AI technologies that we now see coming into the workplace. Now, I say that they're coming into the workplace, but the reality is they're already there. Whether it's using ChatGPT or Copilot from Microsoft or any of the many other tools that are now available, many of you and the people we work with already use AI every day to improve our productivity. But how do we deal with that in the room devices that we support, in the meeting experiences that our users want to have? How do we make sure that AI increases productivity and doesn't act as a distraction? So again, as we're trying to figure out flexible work, we have this amazing AI trend, and that is creating some tension. There is a tension between companies wanting to make sure workers come together, have the most ability to be creative, to brainstorm, to innovate, and employees wanting to continue to have flexibility. At the same time, many workers yearn for more in-person interaction, especially if you're coming out of college, if you're new in your role, if you're new to a company. At Microsoft, almost half of our employees joined during the pandemic. For 2 years, they didn't see their fellow employees or their manager in person. These folks really want to come in to meet the people that they team with. So how do we balance these tensions? At Microsoft, we refer to this coming together of all of these tensions and needs as, moving forward, the connected workplace. We believe the connected workplace is what all of us need to build together to provide the most flexibility and productivity, all based on a foundation of these AI technologies that we will all get to leverage. What I want to focus on for the next 40 or so minutes are the new products and features that we are delivering for the connected workplace. It all is based on a foundation of great management and IT capabilities that many of you use to deploy Teams, to manage Teams rooms. On top of that, we have new capabilities for the workplace with Microsoft Places, new capabilities in Teams rooms to provide the best Teams AI-powered experience for your meeting spaces, new capabilities for rooms that don't yet have Teams rooms, bring your own device rooms, to make sure you know what's happening in those spaces. And of course, new capabilities in Teams for even better meetings, and with Mesh for immersive meetings. So let me start by talking about your physical spaces. We know that every environment has a mix of all kinds of spaces. In fact, no two spaces are alike. Whether it's the types of walls they have, glass, open door, open environment, or the technology in the room. We know that every space needs an experience and a set of technology that is optimized. So we are working to deliver Teams rooms for all those rooms where today you want to have great video meetings and tomorrow copilot powered AI. But of course, as I said, we know not every room will have a Teams room yet. From the customers I talk to, on average, about half of the physical rooms they have don't have any meeting technology. So they would be what we call BYOD room. They may have a display, they may have a USB peripheral. The interesting I find is almost no customers know exactly how many of these rooms they have. I ask every customer one common question: how many rooms do you have? And they'll tell me, this is how many Teams rooms, this is how many Cisco rooms. No, how many rooms all up? I am now up to 2 customers who have known the answer, and it's because they had moved into new buildings. For the most part, customers know, well, we cut a PO for this many speaker pucks or this many meetup bars. Are those still there? Have they grown legs and walked away? Are they being used? Do they have great meetings? That is what we are trying to address with the technology I'll talk about in a minute, where we are going to use the Teams client to give you more insight into those BYOD rooms. And then, of course, as folks do come back to the office, the personal space they have has fundamentally changed. We are seeing companies move away wholesale from reserved offices or allocated desks, much more to shared bookable desks. The reason being, very simply, if I am going to sort of pay the price of commuting into the office, the return I want on that investment is not sitting at my desk in a Teams meeting. It's interacting with others in meeting spaces. So companies are reducing the amount of personal space, but to do that, they need insight into who is booking desks, when are they being booked, is the equipment working there? And so between teams and places, that is what we're striving to do. Let me start going through this list of spaces by focusing on Teams rooms. Thanks to all of you and the many partners that I see looking around. And I'll just say it is so incredible for me to look around and see EPOS, Aver, Poly, Salamander with this great stand here, Smart, Sure, I could keep going. All these companies now actively being partners, helping us, helping you to deliver Teams rooms to all your spaces. And it is thanks to them and all of you that we have crossed over 1 million Teams rooms sold, and over 70% of the Fortune 500 use Teams rooms today. So a huge, huge thank you on behalf of me, my colleagues who came up with this idea about 8 years ago. Thank you for the support for Teams and Teams rooms. That does not mean that we're standing still. So for Teams rooms, we have a few key initiatives that we are now delivering on, and I'll start by talking about the user experience. Top of mind for us is, of course, making sure that Teams rooms enable an amazing copilot experience. To do that, it all starts with knowing who said what. I don't know how many of you have been in a room, turned on transcript, and it just said, room said this, room said that, and it's useless. We know that to be truly useful, Copilot needs to know what Ilya said, what Kendra said, what Carrie said, and that makes the transcript more useful, and of course the recap, summary, and notes more useful. So now in public preview, we have speech recognition for every Teams room, regardless of hardware. Any employee that enrolls their voice not only gets personalized voice isolation, which internet gods willing, I will demo shortly, but they also will be recognized and attributed in every Teams room they go into. Enrollment is extremely easy. We will be rolling this out to every Teams client very soon, about mid-July. It takes less than 30 seconds, and we will be prompting users to say, wouldn't you love to get the benefits of personalized voice isolation by doing enrollment that I'm showing right here. So you can expect to see every Teams room be an amazing Copilot device. But that Copilot today is your Copilot, my Copilot. It is personal. But we don't work individually. We work in teams. So at Microsoft Build, we announced Team Copilot. Think of this as an MBA level person that you can invite as a team member to your group chats, to a channel, and to every meeting. So all of us now have access to a translator, a facilitator, a timekeeper, a note taker. An amazing opportunity to get that help as another team member available to you anytime. I have a short video to show that, including how it works on Teams rooms. So let me go ahead and play that for you.
Microsoft Copilot is evolving from your personal AI assistant to your team AI assistant. Introducing Team Copilot, a new valuable team member, helping everyone achieve more together. You'll be able to add Copilot as a meeting facilitator, taking notes during the discussion that everyone can edit and add during the meeting, along with follow-up tasks and actions for everyone to see. Sharing and managing the agenda with the team, keeping the conversation on track, and integration with Teams rooms ensures Copilot can continue taking notes, even for ad hoc meetings. You'll be able to add Copilot as a collaborator in chats, keeping everyone aligned with up-to-date insights as the conversation happens, and interacting with the team, responding to questions based on messages and shared files. You'll be able to add Copilot as a project manager, creating project plans with tasks and goals, and assigning them to team members. Copilot can also take on completing tasks on behalf of the group, notifying team members when input is needed, and facilitating group collaboration to complete the task. With Team Copilot evolving to provide team assistance, your team will be more productive, collaborative, and creative together. Microsoft Copilot.
This has really deep implications for how you think about the value of having a Teams room, eyes, ears, and a brain in a space. Today, all of us think about it as video enablement. You know, we would put in a Teams room if we want to have a lot of video meetings. With Team Copilot, any space where two of us might walk in and have a one-on-one without a Teams meeting could become that facilitator, that note taker. So we expect many more spaces to want to have Teams rooms for that Team Copilot capability. Of course, AI is not just about Copilot. We are also using AI to continue to improve that hybrid meeting experience, to create a better consistency between people that are remote and people that are in the room. One of the most common things we hear is a room camera may not be ideal to capture everyone in the room, to make sure everyone's face is seen. So later this year, we will be introducing automatic camera switching to our IntelliFrame capability. Put very simply, what this means is if I have my laptop open and my camera on, instead of seeing two views of me, people that are remote will always see the best view of me. People won't have to see the side of my face as I look down in my laptop. We will automatically switch so that everyone always is shown in the best light. But that's not all. We know that in many cases, as a remote participant, I want to direct my own story. Unlike watching a movie or a TV where we are accustomed to following the director's gaze, meetings are interactive. To be more involved in a meeting, I want to choose whether I follow Ilya's comments or an interaction between two people in a room. And so also later this year, in fact, coming to preview in August, we will be introducing multiple camera views with manual switching for remote participants. So you can be in control of your hybrid work experience in Teams. The next point that I'm very excited to announce is about using Teams rooms to deliver more information across your company. All of these beautiful displays for Teams rooms should be used to communicate information employees need to know. So I am thrilled to announce digital signage on Teams rooms in partnership with AppSpace and Zogo. Those companies will be the content management system. You will be able to point any Teams rooms to AppSpace or Zogo or just a URL. Coming later, you'll be able to also point to SharePoint as a CMS. And those Teams rooms will display content when not in use, enabling you to use every display in a really productive way. Now, I've been talking a lot about Teams. We're very proud of Teams. We also know that not every meeting is on Teams, by far. You may have Teams as a standard internally in your organization. You can't control what meeting invites you get externally. So we took an initial step to lead the industry a few years ago to create Direct Guest Join, a web standards-based way of doing interop so that you can join Zoom meetings, WebEx meetings, GoToMeetings on Teams rooms. We have heard a lot of feedback, though, that some of the inherent limitations of those web standards may be too limited. The ability to only support a single display, for example. So we have partnered with our video interop providers, and I am super excited to introduce SIP-based interop for Teams rooms. Put simply, this will enable one-touch meeting join for any SIP-based meeting, Zoom, WebEx, Google, powered by PECSIP initially and later our friends at Cisco. Very simple experience, no typing in SIP addresses, one-touch join, full support for dual displays, HDMI ingest in the room, all powered by that SIP interop provider of your choosing. Last, but certainly not least, I want to talk about BYOD rooms. I mentioned earlier, these are effectively dark to IT today. So we know that when people come in to use those rooms, they plug something in, whether it's a display or a USB peripheral. And we can get that information from the Teams client. So we're now using that to improve both the user experience and the IT experience. For the user, we've introduced shared display mode. I don't know how many of you have plugged into a monitor and suddenly seen your wife's message about groceries or something else on the big screen that maybe you don't need the whole room to see. That won't happen anymore. With shared display mode, we create a separate meeting window in Teams that goes up on the big display, just like a Teams room experience, and your Teams stays on your laptop where it belongs, keeping your information private. We're also using the plugin event to identify that BYOD room as a room. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes when I talk about some of our IT innovations. Now we're using the same plugin event to also ship some exciting new features for bookable desks. One of the biggest challenges I hear in bookable desks is knowing that it's actually being used. Being booked is not the same as someone showing up. Being booked is not the same as someone leaving early. So we're now using the plugin event to actually check in on the desk and to check out. Just plugging into a display will be the same as saying I'm actually here, and will show the desk was actually utilized. Unplugging will show that it's now free. This is just the first of many new capabilities in Teams and Places, including Find a Space, so you can easily make finding a meeting room or a desk seamless, quick, and easy. Okay, that's the user benefits. Before I transition to IT, there was one user benefit that I love and love demoing, so I'm going to try to do that right now. I mentioned earlier that enrolling your voice has two key benefits, one in a room, but one just for me, and that is personalized voice isolation. No matter how loud your environment, our promise is when you use personal voice isolation, the remote users will only hear you and your voice. Let me see if we can meet that promise. So I'm going to go ahead and start a meeting with my colleague who is right here on the show floor. Kelly, hey, how are you?
Hey, Ilya, how's it going on your end? As you can see, I'm here on the show floor. Can you hear me okay?
No, not really. There's a lot of noise.
Voice isolation, so you can hear me. Okay, as I was saying, I'm here on the showroom floor at the GPA Lounge, and we're showcasing our workplace experience with bookable desks. Can you hear me better now?
I can. You didn't just ask the people behind you to shut up, did you? They're still going, right?
I can't hear you because it's so loud here, but hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
And so I wanted to let your audience know to make sure that they check out our partners on the showroom floor, check out our new capabilities and devices, and enroll their voice today at aka.ms/voice profile. Okay?
Awesome.
All right, well, take care.
Thank you. She couldn't hear me. Hopefully you all saw, you only heard her voice. I guarantee you the GPA folks behind her were still being loud. Now, I promised to talk about IT benefits, so let's talk about that. As I said, as soon as 5 people plug into a device, we say, hey, that is probably a room. And it will show up in our room management portal, at which point you will be able to say, yeah, I know exactly what room this is, and link it to a room calendar account. Moving forward, we're actually going to try to do that automatically. Based on looking at the calendars of the people who had the plugin event, we think we'll be able to do a pretty good job of guessing what room that is. As soon as you've identified that as a real room, we start tracking insights for you. So today, if you see, Ilya had a bad meeting and Kendra had a bad meeting, you're going to assume it's something to do with our laptops. But if you see we both had a bad meeting when we were in that BYOD room, you might want to go check the firmware version of whatever device is in that room, and we can tell you if it's out of date. So not only will you be able to get a lot more insights into these spaces that are dark today, but you'll be able to ensure that people who go into those spaces have great meetings and make, we think, much more intelligent decisions about your investments. Which of those spaces get used so much that they deserve an MTR?
Microsoft Teams Pro Management can now discover newly introduced peripherals, like a microphone, camera, or display, in all shared spaces, even non-Microsoft Teams rooms. That means IT admins can better manage spaces by automatically tracking any microphone, camera, or display that gets frequently used. In the Microsoft Teams Rooms Pro Management portal, the peripheral will show up in the Devices tab and can be assigned to a room along with the other peripherals in that space. And now, usage reports and technical details for shared spaces are all in one place, allowing for easier troubleshooting. Device discoverability is also possible for bookable desks in shared office spaces. When employees connect to a device, like a monitor, IT is now automatically alerted to new desks and no longer needs to manually track and add peripherals. Once the devices are associated with a unique account in the Teams Room's Pro Management portal, the newly created room or desk is available for employees to reserve. Organizations can now facilitate more fluid interactions between people and shared spaces, empowering better collaboration.
And this capability is available today, so I invite you to please try it out. The other thing that is available as of today is autopilot for Teams Rooms. I am thrilled to announce that this has hit general availability. It was in public preview. And this means that you can roll out a Teams room like this Surface Hub, fully deployed from plugging into live, literally in minutes. We've deployed a Surface Hub on stage in 7 minutes at Enterprise Connect. Of course, it depends on your network speeds, but our goal is to make deployment go down from days, from hours, to literally minutes for any Teams room. Along with deploying, of course, the other key ask we get is remote access. How do we make sure that that all the settings on a room are correct, or that something hasn't gone wrong? And so I'm thrilled to say that we've now shipped remote access for Teams rooms, such as this Surface Hub. So let me actually show you what that looks like. Okay, so here you're seeing our management portal. That Surface Hub is Conference Room Atoms. So I'll go ahead and click on here. I could, of course, go do many different things in terms of looking at status, events, but I'm going to go ahead and hit remote access and start that session. So this is a new, secure, manageable way of connecting to the device that we have developed for Windows. And we will be shipping the same thing for Android in the future. And now on the screen, you see the console for this Surface Hub. So I'm going to go ahead and do something really simple but visible. I'm just going to change the background on the device. So I'll go into settings, log in as administrator, and this gives me the exact same view I'd have on the console. I can go on into select background, and let's see, let's pick something fun. I like lime, and I can't see it, but hopefully you will see now a lot of lime on that Surface Hub. Just one quick capability, but as you can imagine, extremely powerful for those of you that are now managing hundreds, if not thousands of rooms. Let's go ahead and switch back to the slides. Thank you. I mentioned Teams Room Android, and one of the things we've heard from many of you is an ask from Microsoft to do more on this platform to ensure consistency, security, and to frankly help our OEMs ship faster. To that end, about a year ago, I was privileged to announce the Microsoft Device Ecosystem Platform, a Microsoft distribution of Android. At that time, we announced Jabra as our first partner that's going all in on MDEP. Today, we have Jabra and Yealink committed to MDEP on every Teams Android device, and it is my privilege to announce Barco as our latest MDEP partner. Barco is joining our ecosystem and will be shipping a variety of Teams devices on Android, all based on MDEP. To enable our partners to bet on MDEP, we're also expanding our SoC support, now supporting not just Qualcomm, but also MediaTek and Rockchip. And this is just the beginning. You will continue to see more and more partners, more and more SoC support as MDEP becomes the primary standard for Teams rooms on Android. Now, there are areas that I just have not had enough time to cover in depth, but they're so important that I want to make sure to mention them. One is, we believe many meetings, especially large events, will benefit from being more immersive. To that end, we have Microsoft Mesh, part of the Teams Premium offer, that enables immersive, fully VR or AR experiences across Teams meetings. And also part of Teams Premium, currently in public preview, is Microsoft Places. Microsoft Places is our response to the ask we've had from many of you to understand more about how your users are using space and to help users know when to come into the office and what space to go to. So this is the platform that together with Teams will help you coordinate your space, modernize your space, and optimize both the space and your employee experience. So that has been just a short tour through all of the new capabilities that we are delivering for the connected workspace. And I can assure you we're not going to be standing still. There are many, many more announcements I can't quite make yet, but we will continue to invest in AI and flexible work and bring those together for you in Microsoft Teams. So with that, I want to invite you to learn more about everything I talked about in the blog that you can get to with this QR code. And I have about 14 minutes where I would love to take your questions on any of what I covered or really anything having to do with Microsoft Teams. So thank you, and I'd love to take your questions. And there's a mic right to the side there.
Hello.
Hello.
Mike Winters, Mission Analytics.
Yes.
I'm an AV integrator, and I do conference rooms and control rooms. And in every one of them, ever since COVID, the end user, instead of going to his old school Cisco codec, which he has, and we have to integrate, says, well, I'm going to use Zoom now, predominantly Teams or WebEx. But he basically has a laptop that now needs to integrate with my standalone AV system.
So why do you still have that standalone codec instead of a Teams room?
Ask them. The government requires him to have it.
Okay.
He has it in case the other end only
Sure.
has the codec, but they also have a laptop. So it's just sitting there, kind of dormant.
Okay.
It's not. Sometimes I sell it to them. Sometimes it doesn't matter. It's just in the room.
Okay.
But so separately, the main activity that they do is take a laptop, hook it up to the video wall, and then plug in the USB, which will then bring in the audio camera.
Okay.
So I looked at and listened to your presentation, like, what? We never called that a Teams room. I guess it's a BYOD.
It's a BYOD
But it's
room.
not a simplified, it's a complex BYOD.
Yep.
But in the end, it's any. So one of the issues is they'll have different laptops showing up, and they'll say, well, I can't connect, and I'm trying to troubleshoot their unknown laptop so that they can, and usually it's a restart, restart the one-link bridge from audio, so that the microphone, it's never an issue with Teams.
Yeah.
What it's doing, it's an issue of is Teams, is the laptop talking to my camera. So the question is there, what's a better way to get support when someone's using Teams, but it's not a Teams room?
Yeah, so I think the first thing I'd say is what you're describing to me is, for lack of a better word, the kind of sort of legacy room where meetings take 15 minutes long to start. They're not good. It's exactly why we created Teams rooms. So the first thing I'd say is, why aren't you using Teams rooms or your customer? Many of those Cisco codecs can actually be converted to Teams rooms if they're relatively new. I would invite you to talk to Cisco about that. Yeah, fair enough. In terms of what you said, I think it's going to be super difficult for us to support Teams with any sort of arbitrary USB video bridge. We try really hard to certify a set of peripherals to make sure they work really well. We support certified peripherals. With anything else, it is a bit of best effort. I know nothing about that Vadio bridge and what the challenge can be. So, I would encourage you to help your customer modernize. I think that's the best answer I can give. Of course. Back somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Totally different direction.
Hi, my name is Lourdes Martinez
Hi.
from Puerto Rico. Does the Team Copilot operate in other languages?
Yes,
than
it will.
English?
Yes, absolutely. So both Copilot and Team Copilot will support a broad set of languages, eventually all the languages that we support Teams in today. I don't in my head have the timeline for which languages, but we can certainly, if you give me your contact info, we can get back to you on that. Yes.
Hi there.
Hi.
TJ from ABI Systems. I run the training programs for the company. And sometimes when I'm running meetings or trainings, I'm doing things like breakout groups or polls or other interactive
Yes.
in Teams, right? Will the Copilot for Teams be able to take some of those tasks for me so that I don't have to stop what I'm doing to get some of those things set up?
Yes, absolutely. So Copilot today can look at everything in a meeting. So your Copilot can look at, hey, what are the poll results and other things happening in meetings? Team Copilot will be able to do that for the meeting all up. Yes. And I think, yes.
Hi, John, Mass General Brigham. 2 quick questions. So, are you planning on rolling out an option for Teams licenses for large meetings of 1,000 plus participants?
So we have that today. So Teams itself can support thousands of participants. It's either 5 or 10,000. I will remember, but Teams itself can support many participants, and then Teams Premium, which is an additional license, includes support for many thousands, I think up to 10,000, as well as Town Hall, which can scale for up to 100,000 participants. And you had one more.
Yes, last thing is, does IntelliFrame require Bluetooth beaconing?
No, they are completely disconnected. So IntelliFrame is the ability to frame people. That can either be done in camera with OEM AI or cloud IntelliFrame, where we do that. Has nothing to do with Bluetooth beaconing. We use beaconing for, and by the way, we're introducing ultrasonic beaconing later this year in addition to Bluetooth. We use beaconing for proximity join and for casting, Teams cast. One more, yes.
Ilya, how are you? Brian Marks,
I'm great.
Logitech.
Hey.
Thank you for taking the time to field all these questions, by the way. Quick question for you. I wanted to talk MDEP. When
Yes.
we're talking about the capabilities of manufacturers to have their own proprietary device management, remote monitoring capabilities, how does that integrate with MDEP, or is MDEP exclusive, meaning a manufacturer's capabilities to do those things won't be tied in from their previous Android operating system to the new one?
Yeah, so we are not trying to do, we're not trying to exclude anything in MDEP. So MDEP will allow OEMs to add their own agents, such as for Logi Sync, which is what I believe you need for your management offer. You know, our view on management overall is that our solution, Pro Management Portal, should offer everything that Teams devices and Teams administrators need. We do not have ambition to go beyond Teams devices, right? So we're not going to say, hey, we can also manage if you have some blinds or Zoom room somewhere. But for Teams devices, our goal is to have everything you need in Pro Management Portal. And then it is up to every customer to say, hey, we would also like to then use Logi Sync, Pulse, Lens, or any of those solutions to augment for whatever needs they may have. And that's going to continue to be true with MDEP as well. Yes, right back there. Sorry, I couldn't see you.
No, you're okay. Tyler from Sierra Voice.
Yes.
I wanted to jump off the question from the gentleman from Logitech. Speaking on MDEP and management of these Teams with Android, most companies, including our own, follow certain security standards where when you enroll an Android device, it must be enrolled in Intune.
Yeah.
Will Microsoft be issuing guidance or settings or preferred settings in Intune so that it's a little more frictionless?
Absolutely.
Getting Android into our environment?
Yeah, so one of the things we're in process of doing is transitioning from what we call Company Portal, which is our current sort of enrollment client on Android, to the new Intune AOSP client. So that transition is going to happen over the next, depending on how it goes, because we really don't want to screw up any devices, let's say 6 to 12 months. In parallel with that, we will be issuing guidance very soon, I believe, around here are the Intune policies you want to have so that when these devices enroll, they don't break. Meaning, here's the exceptions, here's the policies to apply. So keep an eye on our blog, but absolutely, as we move to Intune AOSP, which is, by the way, built into MDEP, we will be issuing that guidance. Yes, hi.
Paul Haslam here, great presentation with
Thank
Coming
you.
Up Pipeline. So we have a diverse staff where we have field, we have people in the office. And the biggest question that I get asked is when will Microsoft support content on dual displays versus having presenters on one and content on the other?
So on Windows, we already enable content to be duplicated on both displays. So I'm going to guess you're talking about Teams Room Android. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. It is on the backlog. So over the next 12 months, what we want to do is anything where the user experience is not consistent, we want to fix that. So I'll say at least by a year from now, that should be there, if not sooner. Hi.
Hello, Patrick from Higher Help. Do you know if Team Room will have the option to have more than 2 output screens?
No. The short answer is no. That is not something we're looking at. Now, I'll tell you why. So we have seen customers say, hey, we can duplicate, using HDMI duplicators. The biggest shift, though, we've seen is from lots of sort of smaller displays to very large 21:9 displays where we can show chat, we can show meeting agenda. With Copilot, we can show transcription. So right now, I would say we have heard that request, but with the shift in how rooms are being configured, we're not convinced that it would be worth the pretty significant work it would take. If we do it, by the way, we'd do it on Windows first, if not only, because it's a lot harder, frankly, on Android. So it's something we'll keep looking at, but right now it's not anywhere near the top of our stack. Sorry. Yes.
Hi, how are you doing? Daniel Mosher with Inter Technologies.
Yes.
As a field engineer, one of the problems I've been having is trying to...
Can you lift up your mic a little more?
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
One of the things I have a challenge with is explaining to clients a lot of the differences in mental ergonomics, if you will, between vernaculars, labels, and the addition of new labels on top of labels, changing of labels. Does Microsoft plan to have any kind of classes or certifications that I might be able to lead my client to where they can have an in-house person learn everything about Microsoft Teams and maybe get a certification and give feedback so that, for one good example, if you will, one of the things I have a hard time explaining is the call button and the Meet Now button. The call button is for Microsoft Teams calls.
Yep.
However, if you want to dial a phone number, you can do it in Meet Now, but
Yes.
not under call. This is very confusing to me.
Gotcha. Yes, so for Teams Rooms, we actually have a sales certification and a technical certification today. I don't know what we have for Teams overall, but I believe we have multiple certifications and classes. Carrie, who's in the black dress right over there, she might have the very specific URL for you for certification and training. If not, we can get your info and send it to you. I have 21 seconds, so I'm going to guess no more time. Well, maybe one last question. Can I? I've kind of got the no. The question is anything else on digital signage? I can tell you that we're very excited about AppSpace and Zogo. You can go see it in action. AppSpace has a booth. I don't know if Zogo does. You can see it in action now. We will be adding SharePoint as a content management system. We are open to working with others providers. Honestly, we've wanted to deliver this for a long time, so I can just say I'm very happy that it's coming in the next couple of months, it'll GA. So with that, I don't want to take any more time. I, again, really sincerely want to thank all of you for taking the time to be here and mostly for your support of Microsoft Teams. Thank you so much.